All rise. Starville County Court. County Station, on the line availability.
Good evening, everybody. At this time, I'd like to ask Jeff Gregory if he could lead our invocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for giving us another day, Lord, to be on this earth. We thank you, Lord, for letting us meet here tonight, Lord, to ask you for your help and guidance, Lord, in making good decisions for this county, Lord. Lord, we're thankful for you dying on the cross for us, shedding your blood, Lord, for whoever believeth with all their heart, Lord, may be touched by you, Lord, and have a pathway to heaven. We pray for the lost. We ask you to bless each one here, bless this county, Lord, and forgive us of our sins. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Thomas, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, and welcome to the March Commission meeting. I apologize for running a few minutes behind. It's a terrible travel day. Started at 4 a.m. in Houston, and if you haven't seen the news, TSA is a mess. So getting here was an act of, well, I'm here. So at this time, I'd like to ask you to silence your electronic devices so that we don't have any interruptions during the meeting. And for those watching the video, and the commission packet is available also on the county website. Madam Clerk, can you please call our roll?
Beverly Atwood, Tommy Belcher, Linda Bruce, Shane Burton, Alan Carmen, Brian Crook, Will Dennis, Jerry Ford, Chris Gregory, Jeff Gregory, Bubba Gregory, Landon Gully, Judy Kerr, David Nallner, Leslie Overman, Mark Presley, Amber Russell, Lonnie Taylor, David Thomas, Steve Whitaker. 18 present, 2 absent.
The minutes for the February 23 commission meeting have been distributed. If there'll be no changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve. To Jerry and Jeff. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Are there any announcements that need to be made at this time by any of the commissioners, anybody from the floor here? At this time, if there'll be no items that need to be added to the commission agenda, I will entertain a motion to set the agenda. Good. Got Chris and second by Linda. All in favor? Thank you very much. Citizens' response to agenda items. If you wish to speak to the commission on a specific item on the agenda, will you please sign in at the podium if there's anybody here who would like to. You'll be called to address the commission at the proper time. This time I'd like to ask our mayor, Mr. McCall, do you have a report for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess everyone knows that the bridge on Broadway is finished, and it looked like that Bell Construction was leveling off the pad there on the right-hand side. That project came off 3 months ahead of schedule, which we're very glad. TEMA was up last week to look at the property on Broadway next to the fire department. Said that was certainly doable. The engineer was up here this past week, the engineer that works with our landfill, and he is going to work with TEMA to begin to work out the plan for how to do that. One of the things he talked about would be a large holding pond on the right-hand side behind the fire department to handle any water runoff. But that's moving ahead. Our architect will be up this Wednesday to get an idea of exactly how much land he's going to need and how much we'd need to go beyond the fire department. We did receive our notification this past week that we got 2 grants, both which are non-matching. one for $18,500 from the Tennessee 250 program, and then $75,000 from Three Star. So we have a total of $92,500 non-matching to begin the engineering on the nature trail, which would connect Ward School to Broadway. I was very excited about that. Other than that, that's kind of the mayor's report. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the mayor? Chris?
Just one, you mentioned the engineered plan that might be a holding pond on the right-hand side. Is that the same side where fire is wanting to put that storage building they talked about, or is that the other side of the building?
It's much deeper than that. I think fire is needing 12 to 16 feet. We're talking on the very back side. So it's completely out of reach of what they're wanting to do. I did talk to the engineer about the fact that Mr. Buckmaster had mentioned that their engineer needs another 12 to 16 feet, and the engineer said that would be no problem to build it up out of the floodplain and make that work. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you. Committee and board reports, Parks and Recreation met on March 5th. Bubba Gregory's not here this evening. Do we have anybody that's, Chris, you able to do this for us? Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're vice chair, but I'm secretary, so it's up to you.
That's right. I'd rather you do it.
Okay. Parks and Rec met on March 5th. Discussed the bids coming in for the walking trail. Opted to have the highway department will do that project. Estimate cost around $50,000. Don't have a time frame on it yet, but it should be done shortly. Also discussed and approved. Cliff had told us there some of the old play equipment can be repurposed and placed down by the Little League fields, like some of the swings. Authorized that. Discussed the local park recreation fund grant, sent that forward to budget and finance. Of course, that's on our agenda tonight. Held a lengthy discussion on park usage policies. So everyone knows, hopefully everyone knows why that discussion was held, but that's something I think we'll be looking at going forward, but no decisions made that evening. And no next meeting scheduled as of yet.
Thank you. Well, while you're up at bat, let's see here. We're going to move down. Anybody have any questions for him? Okay, thank you. Moving forward, Public Works met on March 5th. David Thomas, would you like to give this first?
Yes, Public Works met, discussed the roll-off dumpsters. We also discussed the pickup fees. Cliff discussed that what we had raised the fees to, he was getting several complaints from commercial that it was too expensive and they were looking to go to a private services because of, well, honestly, we've had some commercial business already do that, and they're horrendous. They leave trash all around their dumpsters. We don't want that kind of business being spread around the county. It will get worse and become a bigger problem. So the committee voted to lower the fee down to $63 on the dumps. That will still be more than what it was previously, but less than what we had voted on before. Also discussed, Rosalie had brought to my attention the temporary use permitting and the inspections that are required by our own ordinances for that. So we discussed that in Public Works. Right now, that's where it's being handled. Cliff was more than happy to give that up. That's one less headache he's got to deal with. So that was voted on and moved to codes and zoning. They already have the software for that and the inspector to do that. So that got picked up then in codes and zoning later on that week. I'll talk more about that later.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for David? All righty, then audit met on March 10th. Beverly, could you please speak to that for us?
Yes, audit met on March 10th. The main purpose of our meeting was just to clarify our policy discussion on travel. It was just basically just clarifying some verbiage in it. And then we discussed the fact that we had one audit finding for the county, which has been clarified, which was out of building or Miss Rosalie's office. But that has been clarified and we're going to follow up on that at a later date.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Beverly? Okay, moving forward, codes and zoning met on March 12. David, could you please speak to that for us, sir?
So of course, in codes and zoning, we picked up the temporary use discussion. In that discussion, we found out a few things. One, the way the ordinance is written for temporary use, both on public and private property, you are supposed to go through the BZA in order to get that in the city. Currently in the county, you would go through through Rosalie's office. But because of the way we did the unification, the charter stated if there was ever a conflict between the two, the more restrictive would prevail. So when we did the combination, we did the BZA would be who you would go to for temporary use, whether in the city or the county. So that discussion was had on do we need to do an ordinance or an amendment on that. We also talked about what separates the difference between, especially in the park, and an event versus a birthday party or a family reunion. Since no one had really looked through that ordinance, we're going to study over that and meet back on April the 2nd at 6:00 and pick that back up and just make those discussions and have something to present as far as an idea of where we think as a committee we should draw that line.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for David regarding any of this? Okay. Moving forward, budget and finance met on the 16th. Commissioner Gregory, could you speak to that again?
Yes, sir. Budget Finance met on March 16th, reviewed the county cash balance and financial summaries. Nothing really out of the ordinary on those. All three budget amendments were approved without much discussion. Discussed the local park recreation grant. There was a fair bit of concern among the committee about finding the local match on that. Ultimately, a committee sent it forward to the commission with no recommendation at all. Budget Finance did not identify a funding source, so I think that would have to be done tonight. Also discussed briefly the sheriff's request for a radio tower on Gravel Hill. Law Enforcement Committee had previously asked to have that go to bid. No action taken there. I think we will probably look at that as part of the 26-27 budget. That's all I have from Budget Finance.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Chris regarding this? Okay, moving forward, law enforcement met this evening. Amber, could you please speak to that for us?
Upcoming project for law enforcement is to replace the tiles in City Hall. One question that we had was with the 911 tower, has the mayor's office signed off on that?
I'm sorry.
On the 911 tower?
I think we're in the process of bidding it.
Bidding it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got the approval?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that was lightly discussed, but no decision was really made, was if we wanted to use ARPA or if we wanted to wait till the fiscal year to find the funding for the tower. So that's all we had for law enforcement.
So I guess that would go to budget and finance for that, or first before we come here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions for Amber? Okay, moving forward, first response met this evening as well. Amber, could you continue?
Yes, so we only had one of the department heads here tonight. Matt Beatty and Timmy were not here. So Ken mentioned that he's had an increase in members and those that are going to the calls. So that's going to be something that will probably be discussed at budget time, and some numbers will have to be adjusted. We are still getting everybody together and all heads together for this new building, whether or not we're going to build it off the back of the fire department. There is a ordinance that was discussed to rescind all burn restrictions within the urban service district. We would start using Burn Safe Online, where you can also apply for a burn permit at your leisure. Lightly discussed if insurance companies can be billed by the fire department. We also discussed the department heads and myself coming together to talk about whether or not with the fire department building a new building, if that's something that could lead to the rescue department and the fire department going ahead and combining, because out of the 25 members, there are 18 that are rescue. So I know at one time the study was done on it, but it hasn't been brought back up. So
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions regarding any of this for Amber? Okay, is there any other reports that need to come from committees or anything of that type that we didn't cover this evening? Seeing none, Brian, could you please check and see if there's anybody signed on the clipboard for me, sir? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Moving on to active business appointments, Board of Industrial Development. The appointment sheet was included in the handout during work session. Greg Dahl is being appointed to the Industrial Development Board and is assuming a seat being vacated by Paul Knutson. Are there any questions for the commission or anybody regarding this? Anybody? Yes. Well, that's actually got to be an electronic vote for this one. Okay, guys. So we're going to get Amy to prepare the ballot. I had Chris and yeah. So the results are 18 yes, 0 no, and 2 absent. So this carries. Thank you very much. Moving to resolutions, Resolution 2026-03-837, support of local parks and recreation funding LPRF application. This support of this submission is the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Committee. The funding has been considered by Budget and Finance without a recommendation, as Chris covered earlier. The resolution is being considered for the commission for the support of the application, but funding still needs to be discussed further. The mayor's office has reached out to the grant contacts and has addressed questions from this last week. An email was sent with those answers and placed in your seat tonight. If you have a copy of it, you should. I open the floor now to the discussion to support this funding and get a determination. Does anybody have anything? Chris?
Just a statement. I certainly understand the hesitancy to move on this. It is a big number, but I've already been asked once over the past week, we all spent $4 million to build that field house down there. Y'all don't want to spend $1 million to build a pool? And I really didn't have a good answer. So, I mean,
then that did not come out of the county funding.
Okay, well, like I said, that was the question I was asked. So like I said, and I didn't have an answer. So thank you for clarifying.
Does anybody else have anything we'd like to discuss on this? Yes, Judy?
Just want to say there is a lot of people in the county who are very interested in us building a pool. In fact, a very large majority. Do we know anything else about this private money you talked about, or is that just a possibility down the road?
That is a possibility, but we're kind of in the 11th hour on the situation to raise private money. I'd understand, Amy, that they did say that private money could be a part of it at some point in time. But we're up against a deadline right now. So the question is, do we want to apply for the grant with the understanding that if we receive it, we don't have to accept it? And we understand from TDEC that we will not be penalized. It will not affect our next grant application if we choose not to go forward with it after we've at least approved to apply for it. Amy, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Does anybody else have anything? I mean, yes, David?
I'd like to make a motion to amend this resolution to remove the pool from the program, the grant program.
Do we have any idea of what our upkeep will be moving forward to take care of this pool
Well,
that we are considering?
in all actuality, having a monitoring system on the chemicals will change that dramatically. Also, you're understanding that the filtration system will be about 35 years newer technology, which will reduce the demand on the chemical use. With the injectors, it will totally make a more accurate assessment daily, and it actually injects the amount of chemical that it needs instead of just, spitballing it and just pouring it in. I mean, it does reduce a lot of the maintenance costs. Yes, Chris?
Just to clarify on Mr. Thomas's motion, I should have mentioned this during the Parks and Recreation report. Parks and Rec did look at, and basically had requested if we could add resurfacing the tennis courts to include in this grant, and we're told we could. So if we went with Mr. Thomas's motion, basically that part of resurfacing the tennis courts to including pickleball would remain, and I believe that estimated cost was around $100,000.
Understood. So, yes, we have a motion from Commissioner Thomas to strike the pool from the program. Is there a second on that? I don't see any seconds. We have a motion and a second. Strike the pool. Yes, we do. This will be electronic. Will it be electronic? This will be an electronic vote. To strike the pool from the grant application.
Or if we're granted it and we don't accept it, but deep down in my heart and my belief, I'm afraid that we will be affected by it in the long run.
Commissioner Thomas?
And that is the reason for my motion to amend that, our application, is so that we can still apply for the grant, still get the benefit to do the tennis courts, basketball, pickleball. But the amount with the pool at this time, I think is just too much, and no one seems to come up with a reasonable explanation of where we're going to get the funding for our half of the pool. So instead of losing the grant this year altogether, my idea is to just amend it. We go through, get the grant, and then we can apply next year for the pool.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to speak to this? Judy?
One's personal opinion, the professionals said that it would not harm us. And if we apply for it, we at least have a chance in a few months to see where we are. If we can't, absolutely can't do it, we can take, we take a portion of it and do the courts?
Not exactly sure if you can amend the terms of it mid-course. David, I'm sorry, Chris, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, I suspect Commissioner Atwood and I probably disagree on the overall, but I think she's 100% correct in that we probably would be penalized on, if we applied for the full grant and turned it down.
Thank you. Beverly?
So just based off of what Ms. Kerr's saying, if we're submitting this for a certain amount of dollars, can we amend it and use a portion of it? I didn't think that we could do that. Like if we are putting it in here that we're not to exceed 1.3, we can't go back and accept a portion of it. We would have to accept the entirety of it. Am I not correct?
So we would amend the language of the resolution to where you would not exceed 100,000, 150,000. So you would shorten that amount down to what you were actually applying for.
So our main focus to apply for this grant is for the pool. And then to do, if we are granted it, then we were going to utilize tennis courts, etc. But I don't know, I'm just having a hard time figuring out, like, the verbiage is not there. I understand that, but I just don't know that we can submit it and then choose from there. Can somebody clarify?
You can. So right now, the motion on the floor, I'm sorry, am I over speaking?
Not at all.
The motion on the floor from Commissioner Thomas is to remove the pool project from the application. So that would be reflected in the new resolution. And we would direct the focus to the tennis courts, pickleball, and also amend the language for the 50% match not to exceed whatever half of the project would be. So I guess it would be actually about 50 to 75,000.
I'm still in agreement with my second motion on that.
I just want to know how much. If we're amending this, I want to know what the motion is for how much this is that we're going to match. I want a specific dollar amount before I vote. That's.
We'll see. Motion in our second.
Yeah, David?
I have no problem doing that because 50,000 we can come up with. I mean, there's enough money just sitting in the budget that we can come up with 50,000. $1 million, we don't have.
Exactly.
So I have no problem amending that motion.
Thank you. Well, she said allow for 75. We don't have to spend. All right, then it's 15.
Okay, David, is your motion 50 or 75? Let's just get very personal and clarity.
Then it being stated that it wouldn't go over 100,000 for runovers and whatnot, I'll make my motion at 75,000 be the cap of our contributing.
Thanks for waiting, Alan.
I just wanted to ask a question about the grant. Is the dollar amount set in stone and the project set in stone once you apply for it? Is there no changing it? Like once you get approved and you say, well, we back up, we need to do this worse, or we lost some money. What I'm getting at is we could ask for all of it or the big amount, and then if nothing comes through in that time, back it off to what we can actually do.
Mayor?
I think when the representative from Kimberly Horn talked about this, they were being very aggressive in the numbers that they gave us. And once the contracts are let, it could come in less than that, but this was a maximum that they showed us. And they told us that they were aiming high to give us plenty of room for us to operate underneath that.
Yes, Chris?
Amy, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think to answer Mr. Carmen's question, Budget and Finance had brought up the question of, do we have to have the funding in place when we apply for this? We did not have that information last week. We have since been, and I think that was the email that was referenced that was sent back, that if we apply for the full amount, yes, we have to have the funding identified. And so yes, we could say, no, we don't want to do this part of it, but we couldn't just like apply for the 100,000 and then go back in 2 months and say, well, we would like to add this. I said, no, we could not do that, is my understanding.
Is anybody else? Yes.
I just have a question. So with you saying that you could not go back and to add anything, but I think what he was asking too is if you did specify just the pool, that amount in between, if you could go back and do the amendments to change what you're actually doing it for, if you just have it for Parks and Recs. I didn't. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Does anybody have any answers? I think she was just saying if you apply for the grant and then she's wanting to know if you can go back and change the target for that you're going to be working on instead of. It's kind of vague, but yeah, she was kind of writing off of what he was saying, I think.
So you can decrease. So if you applied for the pool, decided not to do the pool, you can go down to a tennis court, but you cannot apply for a tennis court and then upgrade to a pool. As far as grant funding, I'm sorry, there were so many questions going back and forth. On the application, you do need to be specific about what you are applying for. It also states that the commission needs to specify the funding source that they are committing to, whether it's coming out of general fund, ARPA, capital projects. That does need to be specified. So the commission says, yes, we will commit this funding. That does not accept the grant. That is just you committing to funding and the possibility of getting this grant. I hope that made sense.
Thank you. Yeah, Brian.
Reading here, it says if you all did pursue the full grant request and receive the award, but then wanted to decline the grant, you could either request a reduced amount to fund the tennis courts as an alternate for TDEC to consider. Or if you wanted to decline the entire grant, then we would just want to make sure we did that later this year before the contracting process begins with reasonable explanation. How long is the contracting process from if we pass this today?
So I believe they're going to award either in August or September. And once they award, you have about a month to decide to accept or to decline.
Okay, thank you.
But to clarify, you do have to have the funding source identified at the time of application, correct? Okay, and that is something we do not have at this point, correct? Okay. We have a motion. Okay, Judy, one more time.
Different funding sources that we could identify. We've got more sales tax coming in. I understand we've got a lot more sales tax coming in than we had. we've got, and it may be towards something specifically, we've got the money that we raised, the application to build houses. We have raised money coming into the state. I mean, coming into our county. Are we not able just to say from our budget, from our annual budget? And then if we can't do it, go to the tennis courts?
See, the thing is you never enter into a financial agreement without a clear funding source, 100%. That's bad business. Yes, Commissioner Thomas.
I'd like to call a vote on my motion. That way we can go ahead and once we have that pass or fail, then we'll know what amount we're looking for to try to fund. That seems to be a separate discussion at this point.
I was going to speak to potential funding options, but Mr. Thomas has called the vote. So
He called for a vote, so it's on your device. And this vote is to remove the pool from the grant.
It's 12 yes, 4 no, 2 abstain, 2 pass.
Results are in. It's 12 yes, 4 no, 2 abstain, and 2 absent. So that would leave us with this carries. Yes,
It just
Judy.
doesn't seem fair that we would call a vote until all information was known. And Mr. Chris was getting ready to discuss possible funding. Just because someone calls a vote doesn't mean you have to do it that second. You need all the information.
It is the call for vote is in order at that point. And I am the chair and I recognized his call for vote. Yes, Chris.
yeah, I was just going to direct to Commissioner Kerr that, yeah, like I said, once someone calls the question, that's it. And any of us have the right to do that at any time.
Yes, David.
So now that it's determined that we've pulled the pool from the application, we've got 75,000 to figure out where we're going to fund it from. We can do the ARPA funds for that. We can do, I have to refer to Ms. Thomas as far as fund balance or money floating in the budget that could be allocated for this. But that's a lot different number than the $1 million we were looking at about 10 minutes ago.
Tremendously. Jerry.
I make a motion, we take it from ARPA funds.
We have a motion and a second from Commissioner Thomas. So the motion is, we have a motion and a second to fund this from ARPA. This will be electronic, and David, or I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, man, I know we have the motion on where to pull from now, but if we didn't want to do ARPA, we did move some money from the 171 capital projects to CDs to earn some interest. But even after that, I think there's still a little over 300,000 in that one. If the commission wanted to go from capital projects, that would be an option as well.
Yeah, right now the motion is though for ARPA. Thank you. No, hang on. Commissioner Crook?
I just want to know how much is in ARPA.
I was told approximately 450 at this point.
All right, thank you.
David?
We, in the, law enforcement committee tonight, that we talked about bringing some money out of ARCA for the tower down on the west end of the county where they don't have no communication. So I hope that will not, this will not interfere with that down there. That's more important. The safety of our law enforcement and first responders.
Understood. Yeah. You will vote on your devices, please. Results on the ARPA vote is 11 yes, 6 no, 1 abstain, and 2 absent. So this carries. Thank you. After clarification, we've only voted on the amendments. So at this point in time, we have to vote on the resolution as a whole. And so I take a motion. Got a motion? All right. Do I have a second? Ms. Atwood. So David. And this will obviously have to be an electronic vote. Results from this is 13 yes, 5 no, and 2 absent. So this carries. Thank you. It's not to say that we're not going to revisit the pool this next time around. We have more clear funding options in place. The landscape will look entirely different a year from now. Thank you. Moving to resolution 2026-04838, surplus equipment for the fire department. A copy of this resolution was included in your handout that you received at work session. The volunteer fire department has some obsolete equipment that it would like to give to the Feeded Creek department. Mr. Beeler has clarified that it is a compressor that was replaced that would have cost more to repair than to buy a new one. The Defeated Creek department has asked for the equipment in hopes for them to get it repaired. Jerry? Had a second from Mark. This has to be an electronic vote as well. Eighteen yes, 0 no, 2 absent. Thank you very much. Carries. Next order of business is resolution 2026-05839, the county travel policy. This is an update to the county travel policy that is being presented to the commission for its adoption. This is to replace the current travel policy adopted back in the early 2000s. This new policy modernizes travel procedures, simplifies administrative requirements, aligns reimbursement standards more closely with the federal and state travel guidelines. A summary of this has been also included with your handouts. This time I'm looking for a motion on this. A motion from Leslie and a second from Chris. This again will be an electronic vote. Results 18 yes, 0 no, and 2 absent. So thank you for that. Now we move on to ordinances, public hearings and second reading for 3 ordinances tonight. Ordinances are 340, 2026-02, which is the HTCG combined zoning regulations that we've been working on. The next one is ordinance 341, 2026-03, the rezoning A1 to I1 for parcel 019-01400 Halltown Road. And then ordinance 342, 2026-04, which is the annexation of parcel 019-01400 Halltown Road. At this time, I'll open the public floor for the hearing of these ordinances. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to that? Is there anyone here wishing to speak? Is there anyone here wishing to speak? This time, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing. Got a motion from Amber and Jerry. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion approved. Public hearing is closed. Moving on to the second reading for these ordinances. Ordinance 340 to 2026-02. And this is the HTCG combined zoning regulations. Motion of the commission on this. A motion from David and a second from Chris.
Mine, not a motion.
I'm sorry, I did see you.
Now, based on the conversation that I had in my report, talking in codes and zoning, we realized that the current verbiage in the ordinance that we've combined has you, if you want a temporary permit, you have to pay the $350 fee to go before BZA, and we felt that was an undue burden on the public to be able to do that. So I'd like to put forth an amendment to section 5. So Article 5, Section 5.040, temporary use regulations, by replacing the phrase application for a temporary use permit shall be made to the Board of Zoning Appeals through the office of the building official, with the phrase application for a temporary use permit shall be made to the codes and zoning office. This amendment is just intended to transfer that authority from the BZA to the office, removing that $350 fee for going to BZA.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that? Do we have a second on that? Chris?
I'll second. I do have one question. I guess, is there a fee associated with applying through the codes and zoning office, or is it just applying there?
I believe, Rosalie, any permit filed through your office, the minimum's $100 fee.
So in the building codes and zoning office, the minimum price for a permit is $100. That's already been established for many years. Minimum price for a permit is $100.
So that would be the answer to that. It would still have a fee of $100, but would not be the $350.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second.
Section.
Okay. Can you repeat the section number so they can get that clarified up here? Thank you.
So that is Article 5, Section 5.040.
So for clarification, your motion is to amend or to approve? To approve with amendment.
Well, Well, that'll make things more expedient, so I'd like to make a motion to approve with that amendment.
Thank you. Do we still have a second? Chris, is there a second? Okay. Any further discussion on this one before we send it to vote? Chris?
Just one thing, I would ask that codes and zoning may look at the fee on that temporary use permit, whether $100 is still high or not. I mean, it's definitely better than $350, but that at least probably ought to be looked at. And I would ask that codes and zoning look at that.
David? You had something?
Next one.
Okay. Yes. Please register on your devices, please. Results on that one is 16 yes, 1 no, 2 abstain, and 1 abstain, I'm sorry, and 1 absent. Yes, thank you. Carries. Next up, we have ordinance 341-2026-03, the rezoning A1 to I1, parcel 019-01400, Halltown Road.
Second motion that we put this off a month. They have not put up their zoning sign. And at least until they get it up for a month, I think this needs to be put off until they put up their sign showing that the land is going to be rezoned.
Thank you. Rosalie?
So they were issued a rezoning sign and with the understanding that that sign had to be visible until the final rezoning was done, from planning to the first commission meeting to the second commission meeting. With the sign not being there in our ordinance, it does state that it goes back. So he's asking for it to be postponed.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Do we have a second?
Second.
That's an electronic vote. This one will also have to be an electronic vote, but thank you, David. Yes, David.
Question for Mr. Beller. Being that the ordinance states that it has to be that way and that this is a penalty for the sign not being there, is there even a reason to vote on this?
This way it's on the minutes. Register on your devices, please. The vote is yes or no to postpone. It's 18 yes, 0 no, 2 absent. So it carries. Thank you. Well, it's postponed. Next up is ordinance 342-2026-04, annexation parcel 019-014-00, Halltown Road. Get a motion from the commission. Chris?
Question, since this is the same property that we just postponed, does that same sign thing apply for
the annexation?
For annexation as well?
So typically well, not typically, but the ordinance just states rezoning. It does not mention annexation whatsoever in the ordinance that was passed for the rezoning and for the sign.
Probably be advisable to postpone both of them since they're tied together.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second to continue this being postponed. This will be an electronic vote as well. Those results are 17 yes, 1 no, 2 absent. Thank you. Commissioner Thomas? Jerry?
My question is, why aren't the signs being put up?
Isn't that on the property owner to display them? The signs, is it on the property owner to display them?
It is definitely on the property owner to display it. That's why they pay the $150 deposit. When they return the sign in good repair, they get their deposit back. It is totally on the onus of the property owner to do that.
So there's your answer, sir. They didn't put it up.
Well, there is also that the sign could have blown over or somebody could have stolen it, but that's also built into our ordinance. They're still responsible for that sign.
Thank you. First reading ordinance 343, 2026-05, which is the rezoning C1 to I1, C1 I1 to C1. I'm saying that one. Parcel 019 or 019KB 019.02 on Broadway. We have a motion from the commission on that one. Mark?
Motion to approve.
I second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this one? It'll be an electronic vote as well. Seventeen yes, 1 no, 2 absent. Thank you very much. That was the first reading on that. Budget amendments. All amendments, even those that are fund balance draws, may be taken in one motion this month, should that be the will of the body. Mr. Gregory, would you please go over these amendments as approved by your committee?
Yes, sir. 14114, $62,091.42. It's an internal transfer that is paying out the strategic compensation bonus system that the schools have had in place for a number of years. 14115, $40,000. This is converting a science lab at Jim Satterfield Middle School to a classroom. And Mr. Gooley did inform us that this is a grant that was received by the school system. 14116, $373,571.43. That is revenue from the Tennessee Department of Education, where the majority of the schools got a rating from the department. So that's revenue coming into the school system, and I'll move to approve all three.
Leslie, is that what you? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Nope. Okay. Please register on your devices. Thank you very much. I was 18 yes, 2 absent. Appreciate it. Our public notary applications approval. I've received this list from our county clerk. We have Carly Dean with Magnolia, Artel Thorpe Jr. with Argus TKD. We have Angie White, First National Bank, and Betty Anderson, who is self-employed. Ready? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to other business at this point. Our Core Civic Trousdale Turner Correction Center advisory committee report. At this time, I would like to ask Honorable Brandon Beller if he would like to speak on this, please.
Last week during work session, we had a pretty good discussion with the group from the advisory committee here. They made a lot of statements and explained the reasoning behind the report that they've given. I just need some direction from this body on which direction you want to go at this point. If you're happy with what they've presented, by all means, just go ahead and authorize me to begin the negotiations with Core Civic and with TDOT. TDOC. Other than that, I will follow through on their recommendations if that's what you want. If there's something you want changed, by all means, it's your decision on what you want to do. We've had that for a week now, so I serve at the will of the body.
Thank you. Just a second. You guys have had a copy of this for a week now to look through, or longer. So that's all he needs is our direction to pursue it as we go forward. At this time, I would like to ask, Judy.
Money that we're gonna ask for. And then if they want to negotiate down.
He's not talking
we can look
into
at
it.
that.
We can't hear you.
I would like to raise the amount of money that we're gonna ask for to closer to 5 million.
Beverly.
The only additions that I would like to see, I am very pleased with what the advisory committee has brought before us, was the clarification on MOUs, which is memorandum of understandings. I would like to see that not only with the sheriff's department, but with like local hospitals, ambulance services, I would like for that addition to know what their roles were to be in part of a crisis, or however you want to word it, with that addition to that factor. But I think they did a phenomenal job. I'm very proud. Thank you.
And Commissioner Atwood, I took note of that last week, that discussion was brought up. I'm not exactly sure how to integrate that in, but it is maybe a subtopic because it's probably not going to be in the main flow of the contracts or the protocols and their policies. But I think it is something that we can address.
Yes, Chris.
I agree with Commissioner Atwood. I think the committee did a great job and gave us a good report. I'll move to authorize the county attorney to move forward, giving him the authority to negotiate as needed and incorporating Ms. Atwood's recommendation.
Thank you. One second. Brian?
What would we need to do to increase the ambulance fee? because they are getting hit pretty hard with calls out there every day. I think the fee right now is around 1,000 per call. Maybe we get 80% of that, but I'd like to see that doubled if we can.
Counselor.
Well, I think the committee made a pretty substantial recommendation for the admin fee. We're currently at 300,000, and so it would a lot of I don't know that it's exact rocket science when you're dealing with those things, because you don't always know how many calls you're going to get. You don't know how many runs you're going to get. But I think the overall thought process, it was that in the burden that is placed upon the taxpayer for our first responder services, law enforcement, and our courts systems was included in their recommendation. So to tie it back into an exact dollar figure, dollar for dollar, I think it's included in their recommendation. Matter of fact, I'm 99.9% certain it is.
Commissioner Thomas.
Mr. Beller or Mayor, one of you either, isn't it the purview of Mr. Beatty, the Director of EMS, to set the fees for the ambulance service?
Again, we're the recommendation is not dollar for dollar. Okay, it is kind of a more of a global. Again, it's a for lack of a better description, it's a good recommendation. It's a solid recommendation. They put a lot of work into it. And as far as Mr. Beatty or the mayor's office, I think it includes more than just Mr. Beatty. It's law enforcement, the overall burden to the taxpayers as a result. Okay.
I apologize. Maybe I was just misunderstood. I wasn't asking in particular to this. I was in general question. Isn't it the director's purview to set charges for ambulance services?
Yeah. All right, Chris.
Just to speak to Mr. Crook's point, and anybody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I think Core Civic pays basically the same for an ambulance run out there if there was something at McDonald's and they had to call an ambulance, or if I had to call an ambulance at home, I'm getting charged the same amount. If we wanted to look at raising the amount specifically for Core Civic, I don't know, could we do that? But that would probably start at first response if we even could go that route.
And I believe what he was saying is that the increase that they've come forward with is pretty much all inclusive for the burden across the board. Amber?
Yeah, the mandate of the body worn cameras, if you could ask what will happen with these whenever they go into a hospital setting with one of the inmates? And question number 2 is there a way for us to get a number to contact if we find correctional officers asleep at hospitals?
To contact the facility and report it to the facility and take it up with the warden. I've had that incident, so I can fully answer that question. If you don't get your clarification, then you need to contact TDOC and report it to TDOC for them to get clarification, and then they will follow up with you. And I don't mean that to sound like I'm coming off aggressive or nothing, but I mean, that's just the process. Because yes, it does happen, but that is the process that you report it. If 808-0400 is the main facility number, I can tell you that. And then that will go through dispatch to the warden. You're probably going to have to go through the warden secretary to get to the warden, but I'm not the warden secretary anymore, so.
Yeah.
So at this point, I guess what we're looking for is we need to give him this direction. He's got the amendments. I just need to get everybody to voice vote on whether or not we've given him the direction to keep moving forward and pursue this so we don't waste any more time. We have a motion? A motion and a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You have your direction.
Thank you all.
Next thing we have up here is this wheel tax discussion. We do have to give direction to our counsel here and Ms. Thomas on this. We have to give them the direction so they know how to pursue this going forward. We've got to give them the verbiage so we can get this on the agenda next month. Chris?
Did we ever get an answer on what the time frame was if we opted to go the send it to referendum route, when they would need to have it by to get on November?
Do not know. When Mr. Paxton was here, I believe he answered that. So this direction on this thing, we would like to get it on the agenda for next month. I mean, that's been brought forward to me over and over and over. I guess the discussion is we need to nail down the percentages, do we not?
Last conversation that we had, to my recollection, because I know I missed a meeting, was the percentages was up for discussion, and or whether or not just to put it directly for the new jail build. So I think that was it, and someone forgive me, but did we ever lock in an exact amount? Because I thought the last thing we discussed was $80. My recollection. And I think we were trying to parse between that and the, I believe it's educational debt service.
Commissioner Thomas.
So I'd like to make a motion that we go forward with the wheel tax with the numbers presented as far as the amounts, with all funds going into capital outlays. That'll cover the jail, that'll cover schools in the future, that'll cover any capital outlays, any building projects that we'll have in the future.
Jerry? Leslie?
The sunset was part of the discussion too. I would just like, you don't have that as part of your motion?
Chris?
I'd like to amend to include a 30-year sunset provision with this.
David, this comes back to you.
Yeah, I'm not amending that motion because I don't know if the jail will be 30 or 40 years. Don't know if halfway through the jail project, we're not going to build a school, and then that loan will get on top of the jail. So no, I will not amend mine.
Commissioner Crook?
Are we voting on a tax that we don't have the total numbers yet on how much it's gonna cost?
We're voting on the language so that we can get it to be brought forward.
Okay, if we don't know how much something's gonna cost, how do we know how much to set the tax?
Look at the language. The language is it 100% to this capital project, or is it split off to go to schools? You know, that's the direction that they need so they can start with this. Because right now we're not anywhere other than just a conversation. So we can iron out the percentages or how we're going to either put it all to the jail or we're going to not. But we need to get something moving forward because we just it's rhetorical. We keep landing back in the same spot. That's why. Yes, Brian?
Kind of clarify, so we are voting on the language, the verbiage of it, whether it's going all to one project or many projects too. So right now, the motion on the floor is to go to
jail. and our capital improvements, 171, I believe that's what it is.
So basically, okay, so basically it's an open checkbook for any capital project.
With the, David, do you want to speak to that?
Yes. Instead of having to come back to the taxpayers year after year, asking for more money for another tax to raise something, yes, do it once, put it in place and be done with it.
Does anybody else? Judy? Use your mic, please.
I think all of it should go to the jail. I would like for it, the motion or this motion to fail, and then we vote on it all going to the jail.
Does anybody else have anything? Yes, Jerry.
I didn't thoroughly understand his motion, but I think it all should go on the jail too. Cause that's exactly where we're looking and where we're headed right now. Who knows where we'll be 25, 30 years down the road. I withdraw my second.
Mayor, do you have anything you'd like to interject, sir?
One thing that I think is very important, we establish a price on this jail before we move forward with the wheel tax, because it is a shot in the dark at this point. Whether that delays it or not, I don't think is as important as to whether or not what this jail is going to cost. That's going to be delayed because of this changing of the location, but we're doing that in order to contain the cost of this jail if indeed we go with courtrooms. So I think until we establish a price or a cost on this jail, it's not the best to go forward with the wheel tax.
Understood. And again, all we were looking for is the verbiage. And so we can always pause this obviously until we get more numbers. We can come back and look at it and make sure those numbers are solid then. So I didn't get a second. Chris.
Two things. One, if we pause this, if it was had to have it 180 days, I think it was before the election in order to be on November. If we delay this much longer, we're past that time frame, and then we're looking at either a special election or waiting 2 more years, which I don't think either one of those is acceptable. Correct me if I'm wrong. If we send it forward like this, just the $80, have it on capital projects, we could amend it next month to have it go to change that, to have it go from capital project to just a jail. So I'll, in the interest of moving it forward, I'll second Mr. Thomas's motion.
And
David.
just in interest of clarification, my motion is for the language of an ordinance to then come before this body.
Exactly.
I am not making a motion to pass or not pass a wheel tax.
That's all we were looking for. Also, thing to take into consideration here is it doesn't have to go for referendum. Just clarifying that. It doesn't have to. So with that, Chris, I'm sorry, yeah, Mr. Gregory here. Sorry, Jeff.
If, like I said, if we go ahead and pass it and put it all for the jail, and let's say we put 25 years on it, and then it comes up to jail ain't as much, and we pay it off in 20 years. So what happens then?
Earlier of 25 years or when we pay it off.
I think he's asking what happens if the jail pays off before it sunsets. The commission then can take a vote and sunset it.
You can take it at that time, so it's paid off, it's done with. I would be cautious about your representations to the citizens of Travis County, though. If this body represents we're going to do something and it's paid off, just make sure that you follow through with it.
Mark.
Is it possible we could call a special call meeting after the mayor gets more information on the jail?
I mean, it's always possible to have a called meeting. Do you have anything, Mayor? Judy?
If we put the words in that it's to go to just any kind of a building, there's going to be fight after fight after fight every year for the next 25 or 30 years. And the best speaker is going to win. This is for the jail. We've talked about it's going to be for the jail. The jail's going to have this money. We need to pass it for the jail, and there won't be fights every year.
Understood. Again, we were just looking at the language. We're not voting to pass it at this point. David?
Yeah, we're just getting away from what the motion is. Let's go ahead. I call for the vote.
Thank you. We'll do electronic. This will be electronic as well.
For the jail only?
It's the verbiage on this. Yes, it's for the verbiage that we just, David's motion that we got a second on.
But
Do I need to restate the motion?
Yeah, please restate the motion so that she's clarified as to what we're looking at.
So the motion is that we use the numbers that were presented to us for the fee side of it. And that 100% of those fees goes into the capital outlays. And Ms. Thomas, you said it was 171 is the fund for that? So that when the jail is paid for, you have money for schools instead of splitting it up into 3 pots and not being able to use all of it for the first needs you have. This way you get to use all of it there. When that money's done, then you move on to the next project that has to be paid for.
Get to, but it can be a fight every year.
No,
So it is to go to the jail.
We called for a vote. $171, where the jail is what's coming forward on this. That's what's going to fund the jail is capital projects. That's how the check's going to get written out of that. We're going to have a, 30, 40-year note. Is that right, Will? Probably on that. And it's just the language. We're not voting on writing a check today. I'll have the language exactly next month when we have total numbers. That way we can get it on the agenda for next month. We called for a vote. Thank you. The results are we had 16 yes, 2 no, and 2 absent. So we now have some verbiage to work off of next month so we can get it on the agenda. Thank you. Is there any public comment? Anybody signed in to speak? Nothing? No, they didn't. Chris?
Just to clarify to Mr. Crook's last point, yes, right now, the verbiage is that it all goes to 171, could be for any capital project, but we can, when this comes before the full body, presumably next month, amend it to have it all go to the jail. And if someone makes that motion next month, I will 100% support that.
That's where we were. That's exactly what we're getting at. So that's not clarified till we do that next month. They'd have to get the vote, Judy. Thank you.